Hi, I'm Dave Forsyth and welcome to episode 8 of our video series, Avid Tips and Techniques. Now you may think you know everything about user profiles, but there are some more advanced aspects of user profiles that you may not have seen yet. Let's have a look. User profiles are mainly dealt with in the User Profile menu in the Settings tab, and there are several options in this menu. The first one, Create User Profile, is simple. Choosing this option creates a new set of factory default settings. If you're working in a facility with multiple Avid systems, it can often make good sense to store your user profile centrally so you can access it from any machine on the network. Let's now have a look at importing a user profile. This option opens up a dialog box. You can use it to navigate to the folder containing the user profile you want to import. Once imported, the user profile is copied to your Avid Users folder. Now remember, it is copied, not moved. So you may well ask, well, what happens to the original if I make any changes to the one I imported? Let's have a look at that now. First, let's see how user profiles are exported in the first place. There are two options when exporting: Personal and Group. As we saw earlier, when you import a user profile from somewhere else on the network, the system actually copies that profile to your local Avid Users folder. Whether you export using the personal or group shared profile type makes no difference as to whether the profile is copied or not, but it does make a difference as to what happens to the original if you make changes to the copy. Let's say that I'm working at this facility which has 3 Avid systems on an Avid Unity Media network. I'm working on system number 1 and I create a user profile and export it as a personal shared user profile type. I can now go to system 2 and import that profile from the Unity workspace. I can then do the same on system 3. So all 3 systems now have my user profile on board. One day, I might be working on system 3 and decide to make a change to my user profile. As it was a personal shared profile, these changes are automatically applied to the profile on the Unity. If I then open my profile on system number 2 again, those changes will filter through to that system as the profile opens. This means that no matter where my profile is, it will always be the most up-to-date version. The condition is that the Avid system must be able to see that shared folder so it can receive any user profile changes that may have occurred since the last time that user profile was used. In the case of a user profile being exported using the group profile type, then the copy on the server and any other copies anywhere else will not be updated if you make changes to the copy in your local Avid Users folder. This means that if you want to make temporary changes to your user profile, they will not be automatically applied to the other copies of your profile around the network. Then we have Update User Profile. If your user profile was created in an earlier version of Media Composer or even Express Pro, you can use this option to update your user profile to include any new settings. Any new settings present in the current software will be automatically added to your settings list. One of the silliest default settings is the bin settings. If we open the default settings, we can see that the number of files ending up in the attic folder is terribly inadequate, although this has been fixed in version 3. But we definitely need to change this one. If I do make the change, that will take care of this user profile. But if someone were to create a new user profile on their system, well, they will simply inherit the default. So what if there was a way to have a new user automatically inherit a different version of this setting? Well, there is. Firstly, I'm going to customize the setting the way I want it. And click OK. For the purpose of illustration, I'm going to give this setting a new name. I'm going to call it Lots of Files. Okay. Then, from the Special menu, choose Site Settings. Site settings are a list of rules that Media Composer follows when creating new users and new projects. If you create a new user or project and there is a user or project setting in this list, that setting will be automatically applied to the new user or project. If there is no specific setting in this list, the system will simply apply the factory default. Now I'm going to drag the bin settings from the project window into the site settings window. With this setting now in the site settings list, any new user profiles created on this system will automatically inherit this as their default bin settings. Bear in mind, this will not affect existing user profiles, only new ones. In a large facility, you could conceivably copy this site settings file to all of your Avid systems and thereby deploy a facility-wide set of rules for all new users and projects. So, you've set up your user profile just the way you like it. But one day you see someone with a timeline view that you just have to have. Rather than writing down how they've configured it, why not just copy it out of their user profile into yours? Firstly, click on the Settings tab to bring it to the front. Then, make sure that your user profile is active. Then, go to the File menu and choose Open Setting File. In the next dialog box, navigate to the user profile whose settings you want to copy. I want to get one of the timeline views from Jack's settings. I'll select the settings file and click Open. A list of his settings now appears in a separate window. The timeline view that I want is called Big Colors. I now drag the settings that I want to copy into the project window. Now, if you wanted to copy more than one, you just drag them over as well. I now have the Big Colors timeline view in my list. Now, in some instances, for example with the Composer settings, the system will ask me if I want to add the setting to the current settings or replace the active setting. Now, choosing Add will just add it to the list. Choosing Replace will cause this new setting to replace and become the active setting. Now, make sure that is what you want before you do it, because it is not undoable. Now, if you do add any new settings to your list, make sure that you go to the File menu and choose Save All before continuing. If you want to take your Avid skills to the next level, get enrolled in one of our Avid training courses. You can see a full list of our courses at our website, avap.com.au. Or why not drop me a line at dforsyth@ambertech.com.au. So there you have it, user profiles. I hope they're a little bit more interesting now than they were a few minutes ago. Until next time, I'm Dave Forsyth. Cheers for now.